very usual. In der ersten Pause brauchen wir ein bisschen Gesprächsbedarf. Dear all, I think we have another quite important session now. Also, we made it that NDS, Dr. Sasse came from Beijing, and he will give us some information about the NDS association and the development of standardization. So please join the seats now. Also, well, that there is a lot of need for talk to each other is a good point, and it's also very reasonable in that sense, because that is why we have this conference, also in a way to build up a community where people know each other. We got a little bit problems with the microphone. So I think we start the next session. It is Volker Sasse coming from Beijing on the one hand side, and we'll maybe introduce also about Navinfo a bit, and I'm not sure. On the other hand, the main topic will be also the NDS Association, which is a German legal entity, not anymore, at least e.V., but also worldwide activity. And I'm very happy that Dr. Koch and Dr. Sasse came here also to present some of these ideas. We had some of these ideas already last year, but it was a bit too early. Also shows a bit the developments, what Christoph Helmes and also other colleagues started to mention, the change in the automotive cross-GOIT industry. And that's why I'm quite interested in. So, first talk, Dr. Sasse, Navinfo, but also president of NDS e.V.
So I would like to talk with you about unity and freedom, as you can see there. In our global society, also European society, we are talking very much about unity and about cooperation, and we are always stating if we are not working together in Europe, for example with the refugees or whatever, we will not keep this organization, European Union or whatever. And I think the same which is true in the society, in the political area, is also true inside our business. And I think it is not good to have something like Chinese Great Walls around our country or around our Europe, and also not around our company. And I think we have to work together, especially in the context of autonomous driving. If we are not cooperating, it will not work. And that's why I'm stating that standardization, at least of the map, but also of other topics in autonomous driving, is a key for success. And if we are not following this rule, it will not work, and it will not have success. That's what I just said here. A single company does not have the power to dominate autonomous driving. So that means we are working together, and those companies who started with NDS, with the Navigation Data Standard, this international organization, are also the same ones who are now buying here in the future. 'Probably in Q1 next year, that will be then agreed on. And And we are extending this group more and more and hope to integrate more companies. So originally, when we were talking about navigation, it was always a goal to get from A to B. That was independent of different kinds of containers which are transporting. Now we are talking about autonomously with autopilot or whatever. And so a few people in different areas are injecting more intelligence into this map. And finally, we are modeling the world. And that's one of the sensors. It's not, of course, not the only one and not the most important one, but one of the sensors in autonomous driving. So in a way, in the future, we are not talking about transportation, but we are talking about driving living rooms. And we are convinced that intelligent robots are the better drivers, better than the human being, and autonomous and NDS is focused on automation. NDS is now a crucial part of this big change of the world. I think a lot of people are not realizing how big this change is going to be. Of course, the primary focus of NDS is a technical one, but this has also influence beyond this. We have a diversity of members who are building a platform for extended discussions. So we are, in this way, also a platform for more, which I will talk about later on. And another thing, everybody knows Google Street View. I think when we in the future will have all these cars driving on the road with sensors, 50 sensors in one car, and collecting all this information and transferring that into servers and whatever. So this will be a much better result which we can deliver from that in the future, and we can do virtual reality on a high level for all these road corridors, and you don't have to drive anymore. You can sit at home with your glasses on and travel to the other place. We have, of course, also a basis in the navigation part. So these are the cars which are already driving with NDS on the market. We have a big fleet already. And I think one topic for the future is also metropolitan traffic management. Of course, when people think about standardization, they always think about something slow and centralized. But I think in our context, we have proved that this can also be different. So we are fulfilling the requirements of speed, and we also think that standardization is a necessity. Since 2012, NDS is really on the market. So we have the technology, we have the organization, we are accepted internationally. We are not, like somebody stated some days ago, the national data standard, but we are the navigation data standard. So we are doing that worldwide. And by the way, the first country where NDS came on the market was China in 2012, together with BMW and Alpine. So this is now, we think, a productive platform for the next big shot. This is our current list of companies who are working inside NDS, about 30 companies from different areas. So that means car manufacturers, service providers, system providers, compiler developers, map data providers, and all of these are coming together in different levels of groups. I think in this cooperation we have also proved that we are very creative, and we can prove that creativity needs collaboration. and the car companies, with all these cars which are using autonomous driving in the future, they will also be the backbone of autonomous driving. This is our organization, maybe not so interesting for you, but I just want to state we are quite flexible in our projects, we are economical, so we are not like ISO discussing forever, we are quite fast, and we have a potential fleet of cars on the road. One of our groups is Working Group 3 about Autodrive. I'm not reading all these details here, which are explaining what this group is doing. Especially, it's of course focused on a special building block for Autodrive. This is shown here in this picture. Autodrive is just one building block which we have added to all the other ones, so it's integrated into those parts which have been used for the normal navigation. So we can integrate that seamlessly, and we have mature mechanisms to work also then in the future with autonomous driving. Just some examples, a little bit more technical about how this is structured. We have a highly accurate lane model. By the way, the old databases in the past had something like accuracy, something like 5 meters, and the requirements for this highly accurate data are something like 10 centimeters. And so you need also then different models for that, and this is the high accurate lane model. We have also additional information here, like lane separators, physical lane boundaries, estimated lane boundaries, lane markings, and so on. So all these requirements are already in and are already used in some prototypes. We have also a special positioning model inside, which is, for example, using roadside furniture, house corners, overhead structures, and so on. So that's our Autodrive module. If you want to read more about NDS, you have a teaser video there, and we are also visible in Wikipedia in different languages, and some companies are also providing tools which somebody can use together with them. The basis, based on this past evolution, we have now a mature platform for a revolution. So everybody knows what is already on the market, like automatic emergency brake and so on. I think in the past we have already done steps in the direction of autonomous driving. And but this is now not just an evolution, this is a bigger step. What about the estimations of the future? Some technicians estimate that already 2020 we can see autonomous serious products driving on highways, and the extent of automation and supervision is highly dependent on legal adaptations in the countries. So it's not only a technical problem or challenge, it's also a legal challenge. But of course, I would say it is a little bit unrealistic to think that everybody will drive in 5 years autonomously. Beside that, in order to improve our work in the future, we are now having an initiative of NDS. We are coming together with ADASIS and Sensoris to talk about closer cooperation. We are also working very closely together with own and external innovation departments. With universities, we have, for example, evaluation contracts, and so everybody who is doing research, like also startups, are also invited to have a look at our standardization specifications if they have this evaluation contract, which is for free. So, and we want to change our world as soon as possible with these steps. The potential of information collected by the autodrive car. Most of you know that we have already a lot of sensors, and the new cars in the future will have something like 50 sensors in the car, maybe more. And of course then the direction is that it shall be more convenient driving and less energy consumption, and we would like and we expect that we are increasing the safety on the road. So the sensors and the database are the foundation of a self-learning ecosystem. NDS brings the relevant information together. We need a mature learning system, and that's what I mainly want to state with my speech today. We need cooperation, more cooperation and less competition. There are other areas where we can still compete, but in the area of the map, I think we should cooperate more. And NDS enables this cooperation by laying the ground for storing and exchanging information. We can prove that we are technically reliable with our system. We are international. We are reflecting all these local particularities. So you can see NDS driving in Japan and in China and in America and in Europe, everywhere. It is used, and we are open for innovations, and we have a very lively community. This is very creative and flexible, and we can fast adjust to the requirements of this new world. The NDS Autodrive and Metropolitan Traffic Management, as you know, I'm working for a company who is located in China, especially also in Beijing, and you know that all these big cities have really such a high frequency of traffic there. It's frequently collapsing, so you are more standing than driving, and you cannot continue to build more roads all the time. And we think that the traffic management can improve this as well, because a lot of traffic jams are caused by human beings. And in the future we will also transfer a lot of data, I would say first gigabits per second and then terabits per second, and handle massive amounts of big data for this purpose. And I think all these should be structured in a way where we have the same format as much as possible, and we can discuss how we do it in the best way. Yeah, and as I stated already before, this is not only a technical challenge. We are also talking about laws and regulations, also about ethical topics. We are involving insurances here or other organizations who are in charge of admission. There is also a monetary relationship, because all these data collected by cars are also a value, and so we have to convince the people first to give this for free to other people and not to keep it for themselves. This is also a big discussion. And on the other side, that's especially a discussion always here in Germany, protection of personal data. That's also a frequent topic with Google, I think, that people are afraid of Google because of their protection of personal data. But those people who are complain most about this danger are using Google most, I think. I think there is no country who is using Google more than Germany, as far as I heard. I think we have to also to work on all these topics and find solutions for that. I could call this NDS as an automotive brain in the sense of the map. As you know, maps have always been of high importance to the world for thousands of years already. And I think this is now increasing in the future. It is already visible already today, but it will be much more important in the future. In the past it was more static, now it's becoming more dynamic. And so the connected network of dynamic information becomes an automotive brain, and NDS can serve as the memory of this brain. And we, NDS, we are inviting everybody to find solutions in cooperating with us, because nobody can handle this alone. And that's what I want to state also at the end. Let us join all forces and change the world together. So autonomous driving is revolutionary, like a moonshot in Google terms, at 10x. So, and we would like to help everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. A point?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Johan from Mapbox. You emphasize cooperation. What's the strategy on open source and open data?
So first of all, we are inviting everybody to talk with us, and we are not excluding anybody. I have a little bit doubts how we can organize that for very security relevant information. For example, if you have 10 centimeters accuracy data on the road, which I explained before, and if this is not really controlled very well and checked if this data are really true, then it could be also becoming dangerous. So of course we are not dependent only on this information on the map, but mainly on the information of the sensor. But I think the tendency is always to becoming more and more open for everybody.
Can I ask a follow-on question?
Yep.
Okay.
Change a bit. Thomas Blaschke.
Thank you, Thomas Blaschke, University of Salzburg. My question goes in the same direction. Is the NDS standard available for everybody, or do I have to become a full member and pay my whatever 50,000 euro to be a full member to get access to the full documentation?
So maybe we are changing in the future also in that area. At the moment we have these companies which I showed before who are paying this amount because we somehow have to pay the organization. We are not doing it all with freelancers. We are also employing some people and who are making sure that we have a fast movement of the standardization. And for this purpose, we are needing a certain amount of money. If we are growing the amount of companies in the future, then we can, of course, reduce then the price for each single members. At the moment, we have also, as I said, this special open evaluation contract. So if somebody is writing to us and saying we have a project, we want to check if NDS is usable for that, then we can make this contract, and then you get this for free. You don't have to pay for it. Only if you are starting to sell a product with this data, then it is at the moment still price which you have to pay. As you have heard in the past year before, nothing is for free. Somehow some things have to be paid.
But I just have to mention that because not everybody in this room is aware of that. And the opposite to some of your introductory slides, you have built big walls around your closed club at the moment, and it's not so easy to get into this closed club. Just for the information of other people here.
So I think everybody who wants to work with us can cooperate with us. So the only hurdle which some people see is that they have to pay something, because we have to pay the system. But as I said, this will change also in the future, and we will reduce these hurdles.
So, thanks very much for this talk, also for being here. We have the preparation for the next one. Sometimes I think we have 5 dimensions. We have the technical, the economical, the social, the legal, and the political, or political legal. So this is a challenge. If you do a project, we have to have good solutions on all 5 dimensions. If we do something which is not technically feasible, difficult. If it's not feasible economically, difficult. If it's not feasible, let's say, socially, also difficult. Political, no. So some countries which feel internet is dangerous. You're not far from this country. Legal, they don't know what internet is. You know, Neuland. For those people who just speak English, Neuland is maybe a good word to use also in English later on. Nevertheless, we have also Gary Gale. Here he's also setting up. Also quite known, did a lot of Wherecamps, I think, maybe most Wherecamps worldwide. You visited Amsterdam, EU,
a few.
Stanford, lots of them. So he's really in many domains. Very happy also to have you here.
I'd be even happier if the projector was working as it was earlier.
And if we do the technology part also, and we socially we did, economically you did, we made you coming, and now the technical. But I'm even though sure without PowerPoint you would make your point. That's what we said earlier. Give us the PowerPoint, an MS-DOS format, not an MS PowerPoint format. Anyway.
Let's try this again.
Maybe this works. Good.
Yay.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Fabulous. Right. Thanks, Roland. It's really nice to be back here in Berlin. It's even better to see, I think, what started at the very first non-UK Wherecamp EU, which myself and Chris Osborne held here in Berlin, has now gone on for 5 years in a very unique Berlin experience for the maps, for the geo and the location community. So anyway, enough about that. Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gary. I tweet quite a bit, mostly about maps. I write a blog called Mostly Maps, which is mostly about maps, and it makes me happy that I've been doing this since 2001, which I think beats Ed Parsons and his maps blog by a couple of years. So I want to set the scene for you. You know, as an industry, we've come quite a long way since 1510, where the Lennox Hunt globe became one of the only available sources where you had the famous Latin phrase, here are dragons, to indicate areas on the map where people really didn't know what was there, and they'd be very grateful to explorers if they could just fill it in as they went. As an industry, since 1510, I think it's fairly safe to say we've come a long way. But there's still gaps. There's still modern-day dragons. This is a good example. This is a marketplace on the outskirts of Dar es Salaam. It's in what's euphemistically referred to as an unplanned settlement, which basically means it's a slum. It's called Tandale. It's full of people. It's full of life. Ironically, the majority of the food supply for Dar es Salaam comes from this little enclave of a slum which has been engulfed by the city. So I looked, how does this place look on a map? Now, to Christoph from here, I'm sorry. To Ed from Google, I'm sorry. This is what here thinks of that. There's some roads, that's good, but kind of that's about it. Google, it's slightly better. We have road names, we have some points of interest. But it's still not showing the real picture of what is on the ground, and for that you need satellite imagery. Now, in 2002, there was a census which showed that 45,000 people lived in this small area, surrounded by the rest of the growing city of Dar es Salaam. Yeah, surely they deserve a better map. Surely they deserve better representation on that map. You know, to be fair to the other map providers, maps are still strongly tied to the business cases which make them to be created. I don't know what the market for autonomous driving or search advertising is in Dar es Salaam. I would imagine it's probably not as good as it here as it is here in Berlin. Thankfully, crowdsourced maps projects such as OpenStreetMap have fleshed out the map in this area and in lots of other areas of the world. And that may be classified as a slum, but I've been there, and it's an amazing place. But is a map, a static map, enough? The world may be mapped to varying degrees of depth and coverage, but that's not the case for people who live in poorly mapped areas, and it's not the case for people who lived in areas which have a really good map. And even when area is mapped to a level which is good enough, the same can't often be said for the addressing of that area. Now, for those areas of the world that are well addressed, the geocoders that work their magic on our attempts at tapping into our phones, typing into our laptops, to turn a geographic reference into a coordinates, these geocoders have their work cut out. Anybody here who's ever worked on a geocoder will attest that making one which works all over the world in all the different languages is far from a trivial task. The teams that write geocoders cannot make the sweeping assumptions that most of the humans in society who are outside of this industry make. Assumptions such as an address will always start with or include a building number, except when it doesn't. Obviously, if you've got a building number, it won't be 0. Okay, but it'll be a positive number. You'll never have a negative number for a street address. Nope. And it'll only be used once per street. Same street number, 4 miles apart. Okay, so we can construct some rules. There'll be one number in an address, obviously. Okay, there'll be a road name. There will definitely be a road name. And this is actually somebody's street address in Oklahoma in the US. 2 miles north, then 3 miles west of Jennings, Oklahoma. They actually get mail delivered, by the way. Now, this was taken from a wonderful blog post called Falsehoods Programmers Believe About Addresses. There's a lot more. There's enough in this blog post to make a talk all of its own right. But if we have that much problem with addressing areas of the world which are supposed to be properly addressed, this actually means that 75% of the world has inadequate, poor, or absolutely no addresses whatsoever. And to put that another way, that 75% is 4 billion people. And that means that really they often fall back to these things, which are coordinates. And we all know these. We all love these in all of their different coordinate reference systems. And they're great for machines, for computers. We as a race don't deal that well with these sort of numbers. There's errors in understanding them, in transcription, in communication. So maybe for the 75% of the world who don't have this, can we as an industry do something better? Well, people are trying. In Ghana, there's 2 pilot projects to develop a working address system for the country. There's one which is called UMLIS, the Urban Management Land Information System. And then there's ASI. Now, I find it both touching and wryly amusing that the faith in these pilot systems is so much that both of the organizations still use a postal box address and not the addressing system they're actually developing. But then when you have 2 competing addressing systems which are being used, which do you use? Well, the people in Ghana, they're pragmatic, so they use both. I don't know what this is, and the problem is a lot of people don't know what this is. People can get confused, and people do get confused. And as a result, these systems don't get the uptake that they probably deserve. And so they fall back on landmark-based addressing, like the one in Oklahoma. Quite often you'll see addresses with the words near and opposite. 500 meters from the roundabout on the Sunyasi Kamani Road, behind the Shell filling station. And 2 of my particular favourites, which I've seen, near the uncompleted building and where there used to be 3 palm trees. But don't take my word for this. Organisations with a lot of political and business clout feel the same way. People say that even a 1% improvement in an addressing system can bring about reductions of 25 billion euros. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of beer. The amount of countries which actually have a postal code or an address which is even kept current isn't that much. And to quote an article which was in TechCrunch recently with Steve Coast, he's saying for OSM, address data is really important and interesting. So this means it's expensive and it's frustrating for the developed world. But let's be brutally honest, nobody is going to die if they can't get a latte within 50 meters of where they are. But in developing areas, it costs lives, it limits growth. And so the nice big sweeping fantasy that we have is the world would be better if everybody could talk easily about every part of it. Well, we think you can, and when I mean the company which I work for, where I write code, I do product, I make a really good espresso, and allegedly I'm CTO, we call it, what, 3 words? So, what did we do? How did we make this? Well, we took the world, metaphorically, not literally. And then we divided the world into a grid, a graticule, if you will. Each one of those squares is 3 meters by 3 meters. That's a lot of squares. Actually, to be precise, it's 57 trillion of them, which is 57 with lots of zeros. We worked out the centroid and the bounding box for each one of these 3 by 3 meter squares, and then we took 3 words, first of all in English, but then in other language, and we assigned those 3 words, minus profanities, I'm afraid. I know a while back I produced a map of rude places. This is not 3 profane words, this is just 3 words. So, we assigned 3 words to them. So, as I said, we started in English, we then added German, French, Russian, Portuguese, Swahili, Turkish, Italian, and Swedish came out a couple of days ago. We've got more languages coming on stream. So this means that the What 3 Words office in London is index, home, raft. Easily understood, easily communicable, verbally. That's one of the great things about this. The entrance to the building we're in right now is mushroom, shadows, a ford. So for every single location on the face of the earth, it falls within one of these 3 meter squares, and there is a 3-word address. And the reason we did this is because basically words beat numbers. There's a reason why your PIN number for your credit card is 4 digits long. There's a reason why your telephone numbers are the length that they are. And that's because people cannot remember long strings of numbers. They kind of work everywhere because we use them in everyday situation. They mean that we can easily spot errors because when we're assigning 3-word addresses, we make sure the plural form of a word is on the opposite side of the world. So you can tell through like an autocorrect mechanism whether or not you're meaning the place that you really mean. The longer words we assign to areas where there's unlikely to be humans living unless they're on a boat, i.e. the middle of the sea. And communities are built around the languages that they speak. So to expect everybody to speak English is rather unreasonable. Although in this room, in this conference, we're all speaking English. People like to have systems that work in their own language. Now, one thing about geocoders is they're the archetypal example of what big data is. They need massive amounts of data. They need care and they need feeding on a regular basis. And most of all, they need a working network connection because as yet, there is no smartphone device which has a petabyte of disk storage. We're kind of the opposite of that. Everything which I've just said, all of the languages, forward and reverse geocoding operations, fits in around 10 meg. So that's just under 10 of these 1.44 meg floppy disks for those of you who are old enough to remember them. I am. So that means you can fit a geocoding system for the whole world on a smartphone, on a tablet, be it iOS, be it Android. Sorry, no Windows Phone yet. There may be. And because it's all on device, for those moments where you get no service rage, or where you're roaming and you don't want to pay the exorbitant fees that your mobile operator will charge you, this works just as well. So we've got mobile SDKs as well as mobile server SDKs, Android, iOS. And if you want to work online, of course, we've got a RESTful API which does forward geocoding, so a 3-word address to coordinates, as well as reverse geocoding. But it's not good enough if you've got to write code in order to tap into an ecosystem. So we're starting to tap as many of those as we can. We recently launched as a geocoding locator, meaning those of you who live and work and breathe in ArcGIS, it means you can do just that. And there's loads of different API wrappers. You want to work in Perl, PHP, JavaScript, Node.js, Python, Ruby. You can. And we've been really pleasantly surprised by the community which has sprung up on this, giving us pull requests on stuff we've already done, saying, hey, do you know we've done this? It would be really nice if you listed us. And that's what we've done. And I think proof of this is the way in which we see this being used. So in slums, we're delivering light, not literally. This organization, Pollinate Energy, they are using a sort of a local business in a box format to go out and use microfinancing to be able to give people the ability to have battery-powered lights which last for days in their humble abodes. But they need to know when those have run out, and when they've run out, they need to know where to deliver a next one. And these are in places which don't have a street address. Hell, they don't even have streets. But using a 3-word address, they can actually route accurately to where that delivery has to go. Likewise, Intercare, these are a Dutch company who are attempting to prevent the spread of malaria through mosquito traps and through netting for the gaps in people's houses between the roof and the walls. Insecticide which needs to be replenished. And again, this is where we can help to be able to route accurately, because the areas that mosquitoes often live and have their own little territories are nearby to humans, but they're often hidden in jungles near sources of stagnant water. So you have to be able to find a box, which unfortunately is green, in amongst all of this foliage. In Brazil, in the favelas, the Brazilian government has done a really clever thing, and they've declared the favelas free and exempt from the obligations of the Brazilian Postal Service to actually deliver mail. So there's a very, very successful organization called Carteiro Amigo, the friendly postman. They use 3-word addresses to pick up the favela's mail from the post office, where the official postal system has said, nothing to do with us, and they can actually deliver this mail. And in South Africa, we're helping a group of enterprising cycle couriers go to hospitals to pick up medicine for critically ill people who would normally have to stand in line for 6 to 12 hours just to get their vital medication. And even the UN seems to think that this is a really good idea, and it's now put into their UN alert system so that you can say when a natural disaster is happening, when there's mass population movement, you can say where this is and where it's happening. And on a more developed world, festivals like the Glastonbury Festival are using our technology so that people can find each other over the massive sprawl of a rock festival, rather than saying, I'll meet you next to the burger bar and beside the stand which is selling organic joss sticks. And if you like your lifestyle a little bit more refined, we're incorporated into the Hedonist's Guide, and even the British Museum are using 3-word addresses to document 1 million plus archaeological finds from where they actually came from, because again, they are coming from areas which are now no longer populated and they're just desert. All in all, we're integrating with so many systems. If you're a user of NavMe, one of the turn-by-turn navigation systems, which instantly is awesome, you can now use a 3-word address as your starting point and as your ending point. And people like this, and they've given us awards. It's ridiculous. We've been going for 2.5 years, and we've now got a shelf with these nice glowing crystal gold award things. And this is immensely, immensely satisfying that people see the value in this and that people are actually going out there and are using this. So to sum up, to us, a 3-word address means being on the map so that you as a citizen know where the things that are vital for life are, and being able to report back when those things aren't working properly. It means being located on the map so your children can have access to education. It means saying, I live here, regardless of what the political view is of the government of the country that I live in. It means you and your family have access to healthcare. And for those of us in the developed world, it also means that for those times when the postal system does fail, there is an alternative. Everyone, everywhere now has a simple 3-word address. We kind of think it's awesome. Go to the Google Play Store, go to the iOS App Store. The apps are there. Download it, play it, let us know what you think. Thank you very much.
Quite good. So also the Wherecamp sees that. And also it's inside the campus working. And we have a single address. If we would order the pizza on Saturday, which will be on this hackathon, it's usually not working.
Hello, Barend Kubbe, University of Twente. I'm very curious about the actual words that you use, and if you have any checks on. You say there's no profanities in there, but could you come up with a word which I know, Gary really sucks or something like that?
That's a bit harsh.
It's a bit hard.
So yes, I mean we start off with a lexicon of the language which we're going to be used, and thankfully, due to the wonders of the internet, there are lists of stop words available for most languages, used when, for example, you're registering a username. So I've never tried registering Gary Sucks as a username, but if that was deemed to be offensive or profane, we can filter those out initially. But then we do a long and very, very arduous process of editorializing these 3-word combinations, so that something which looks absolutely innocuous to somebody who may be, for example, a really good speaker of French or of German, those editorial staff that we have are actually native language speakers. They were born in that country, and they can point out the ones that means, that doesn't mean what you think it means. Could you please remove that? We have found that since we've locked the language, all the languages that we've released, I don't think so far we have had a single report of something which is deemed to be offensive or profane. We've had a few reports where really I think the reporters need to cut down on the coffee and get out a little bit more, because you can't please all the people all the time, but there is nothing deeply offensive in there.
Okay, I think we go to the next one. We have started. Thanks again, Gary, again for the good presentations. So we had one talk about, let's say, standardization on a worldwide scale. There are another ideas also, an idea how to map words we can use as a human to coordinate something. And we will have also another presentation from another active area. And this is a company from Austria, is it correct? Vienna?
Yes.
And so we're looking forward to this talk. This is why things have to be compatible. And we're going to another topic, which is, of course, again, indoor. So one thing, automotive. Another thing is, in general, how to describe, how do you map addresses. Still a point. And now we will see what is happening in Vienna.
Thank you very much. My name is Marcel. I'm the CEO of Insider Navigation. And I can already smell the food, so I will go forward very fast. Just a few words about our history. So Insider Navigation is a spin-off from Cardimotion and the Technical University of Vienna. Cardimotion is an innovative marketing company focused on mobile solutions, augmented reality and virtual reality. And the Technical University of Vienna is researching in augmented reality since or about 15 years. And 3 years ago, they decided to compare the commercial know-how of Cardimotion and the research know-how of the technology of the university. And yeah, that was the start of Insider Navigation. So what is Insider Navigation? Basically, it's an augmented reality-based indoor navigation solution, but we not just focus to navigate people inside of buildings from A to B, we really generate a complete new indoor experience, and we really focus to generate benefits for all stakeholders inside of big buildings. Now I mentioned augmented reality several times. Who knows what augmented reality is? Okay, that's not so much. So maybe I can show you a short video. Gives you a short explanation about what it is.
I think we can all agree that reality is pretty great. It's what we experience through our senses, like our eyes, and phones with cameras. The internet is awesome too, but the internet and reality have a hard time working together. Thankfully, this is changing quickly. New tools mean that the world around you can now be seen with a layer of new information from the internet. If you've ever seen a movie with a fighter pilot, you've seen the pilot's view from the cockpit, but something's missing. The pilot needs a layer of information that adds useful items to his view of reality. Recently, this kind of layer started working on your smartphone, but instead of flight data, you have data about the world around you. It's augmented reality. Let's say you're hungry and at a busy intersection. There are multiple restaurants around you, but you don't have a good way to make the decision. Now, thanks to new software on mobile phones, you can simply point your phone's camera at buildings around you, and voila! Restaurants are magically recognized, and a layer of information about the restaurant appears on the screen. Another example.
So there are coming a lot of other use cases. So basically, it's just you have the reality and you display additional digital content into the reality to explain something, to recognize things. And there are a lot of use cases. And our use case is also one of them because we're using augmented reality as an indoor navigation solution. And I will show you a short video about our demo at the Vienna airport. Basically, our solution provides two navigation modes. The first navigation mode is the augmented reality mode. That means when you're holding your smartphone vertically, you get all information right onto your live screen. And when you put it horizontally, you get a bird's eye view, like you know from Google Maps, for example. But we can display any kind of digital information. So what you can see here are the arrows to your gate. We can also display recommendations, vouchers, etc. So any kind of digital information you can imagine, even animations, 3D models, etc. Because we're really digitalizing the whole building or the whole room. So that makes really a lot of use cases possible. And this is really cool for the operator because he gets a lot of additional advertising space and marketing possibilities. It's pretty cool as well for the tenants because they have a very new kind of marketing services. And for the end user, we always say it's really like a personal indoor assistant who shows you the way to your gate, like in this example at the Vienna airport, but also gives you recommendations, excitements, vouchers, etc. As you can see here, we also can place 3D models, a real car, you click on it, you get a video about it. You can also link offline content with online content. That's just some examples what is really possible with this technology, and in this use case at the end you find the way to your gate. So how is this technology working? Basically it's working with optical recognition. I can show you here one example from Vienna. what we are doing is first we record the building or the respective room with a camera, and what we are then getting out is a structure cloud of the building. It's called a point cloud. Then we stitch this cloud to the ground floor plan of the respective building, and based on that information, the system generates a 3D model of the building. And the positioning or the locationing themselves works then with the camera of your smartphone. That means you hold the camera in the room, the camera recognizes the structure, and so we can localize you and can really accurate display you additional digital content, even if these are navigation information or any kind of digital content you can imagine. So, yeah, to sum this a little bit up from technical side, it works with optical tracking. It's very, very accurate. Due to the optical tracking, we do not need additional hardware. It works on iOS and Android. Our focus is really to integrate this into still existing apps, for example, in the app of the Vienna airport. But it's also compatible for sure with other technologies like beacons. And yeah, we have also a barrier-free and ordering guide included. Yeah, which problems we are facing, I think that's the most people here clear. We are facing the problem that the size and complexity of large buildings lead to disorientation and stress, and also the demands for shopping are changing very quickly, so online and mobile shopping is becoming more and more popular, and that puts really pressure on local stores, and so they have to find a way how they can impress their customers. So for the end user, it's really like a personal indoor assistant. As I mentioned before, we gave them orientation, navigation, mobile services, excitements, but with this technology you can also do a lot of gamification stuff, what is really interesting for the Asian market. For the tenants, they have really a complete new channel of marketing services, so they're getting new advertising space, they can do personalized offers, location-based offers, for example, are also possible with that. And for the operator, at the end, it really generates value because he's getting a lot of new advertising space, but also a lot of cool services and possibilities to serve their customers better. And yeah, for sure, you can also do a kind of ground detection with it, so analyze how the people are moving, and maybe you find out you have to reconstruct something in the building. It's also possible. So why we are doing this, I think it's also pretty clear because the world is mobile. I really like the picture on the right side, so the Pope visit 2005 and 2013. Everyone now has a mobile phone. I think that's pretty clear. And what's also very interesting for us is the technologies that are coming up. So all the kind of glasses, but also additional wearables. All big vendors are doing research into make their processes more efficient for augmented reality technologies, because they also see that this is a big thing that is coming. And additional, also the hardware themselves became more cameras, more features, etc. And that's all things that are very exciting for us. Yeah, what makes us special? So yeah, we are very accurate, so it's really down to a millimeter. We need no additional hardware, and what we saw is that the thing is that we are providing two navigation modes, so the augmented reality mode, which is very very good for the orientation, because we really know in which direction the user is looking. You not just have a map and a dot on it, and you have to recognize, okay, now here's the dot and where I have to go. You really see it on the live screen, what makes it much easier to navigate and orientate. And our solution is also more focused on pool experience. That means you explore the building or the respective venue, for example, by your own, and you decide by your own, okay, I want to have more information about this and that. And yeah, it's different when you compare it to other technologies where you get a lot of push notifications, even if you want that or not. Yeah, so that's it from my side, and yeah, my side.
Thanks very much. Konstantin?
Hey, I'm Konstantin from Mapbox, and so you said that you're first digitizing like a building or like an airport in your example, and then the user can use those digitized information to then navigate in that space.
Yeah.
However, oftentimes those environments, they change very quickly. Like if you look at an airport, like it's gonna look different every single day.
Yeah.
Are you how does updating such a model work in practice? Are you like using feedback from the users of like, oh, this looks different now?
Yes. So basically the solution is really focused on the ceilings of the respective buildings. So and the ceilings, they are not so changing so many. And it's also the thing that the solution have not recognized a building or position on 100%. It is also okay when it's just possible to recognize 60%, and then with that the system can work and can really localize you. But the solution themselves works also with a kind of a self-healing system. So that means that the global map is on a cloud server, and when we initialize your position, you download. It depends on the size of the building, but around about 30 meters around you, the content, and you also give information back to the server. So when 10 people is walking by, and then the servers recognize changes, then he changed also the global map.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Gregory. I know a lot of companies are doing this, and you're probably going to say your company won't do my question, but I'm wondering if we should be worried with using these apps that are giving us navigation and thinking how NDS are looking at the problem that you want to direct traffic a certain way to keep the flow going. That's good. But in this airport, I know my local airports in the UK's just changed, and I've got to weave in and out these shops. So if I get navigation, is it just going to send me via the shops rather than the most direct route because they paid you to do that? Should I worry about other companies doing that?
So the basic thing is that so we are selling this to the operators, and they sell this to their tenants, for example, for the advertising things. And so let's say that's the basic use case or the basic business model of it. And what we are also seeing is that the tenants, they like the solution, because when you have other navigation technologies, you walk like this because you have to look at the map, right? And with our solution, you see the reality, and you see up, and you have a look also into the shops and see the things in the respective shops. So that's more, yeah, it's more efficient, because also you not can, when you walk like this, you're not pumped to other people, for example.
If I don't walk past their shop, then they don't get any of that.
Yeah, that's
even more risk. The app makes people walk past their shop.
I don't get it. Sorry.
I think we can do it later on, because we're already at the break now. If you visit today airport, sometimes it's not the direct way you're being led to.
Ah, okay.
But we can do it later on. I mean,
Yeah, so that depends on the operator,
Yeah.
how you would like to navigate the people.
Yeah, because they have also to bring the economics together with the technical and other things.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for the talk.
Yeah. Thanks.
So we have lunch now. We have prepared a bit of lunch around. We have also a break, so use the time also to get to know each other. big part is really to get to know each other. That's why we are here, and I'll try